Hey! Welcome
Hey.
to Coffee with the Masons. Cheers. We have
Cat
coffee
dog
today.
And cat dog.
And cat dog. Coffee with the Masons and with cat dog. Oh, that's good stuff. Even at 119 degrees.
It's still warm out, and we are forecast to have August through October
August-tober.
4th.
August-tober.
So what's our subject, honey?
Today we're going to talk about a recovery tip.
Ooh.
And it is be smart, not strong.
Where are you getting this from?
My class that I'm required to take on a weekly basis up
Okay.
at the office, up
Okay.
at the place. And a lot of people think that just because they've got so much sobriety in, so many years in, so many months in, however long they got in, that they're strong enough to just do away with recovery and beat it on their own. But
How did that work for you?
that's not the case. It worked well for about, a little bit. And then it stopped working because I was not smart. And I'm going to read some things here, and if these have worked for you, then good for you. But I would be willing to bet that 9 times out of 10, if anyone's tried these ridiculous ideas, that it didn't work out too well. So, how about this one? Number 1, I can be around drugs or alcohol. I'm sure I don't want to use. And once I make up my mind, I'm very strong.
I think that's a terrible idea.
That's myth number 1. Myth number 2.
I think the people you run around with, you absorb their habits.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Number 2, I have been doing well, and I think it's time to test myself to see whether I can be around friends who are using. It's just a matter of willpower.
I think that's a terrible idea.
Myth number 3, I can have a drink and not use. I've never had a problem with alcohol anyway.
I think that's a terrible idea.
So, 3 out of 3 you think are terrible ideas.
Let's talk about the last one.
I choose not to drink. I quit drinking after watching a football game, going on 3 years ago now. And I've had 1 beer since then, and that was because I had a kidney stone, and didn't even drink the whole beer then. She actually bought me 2 that morning. I ended up pouring the other one out.
The other one sat in the fridge for 6 months.
Yeah, it did.
But for most addicts, how likely is it to replace one substance for another one if you have an addictive personality?
More often than not, if you're in recovery, you run into people that say, "Oh, I never had a problem with alcohol. I was a pill popper. Now I'm drinking," or vice versa.
So it's very likely.
Yes,
Very likely.
Once you have that addictive behavior, and you are an addict, you're always an addict. You're never not going to be an addict. So one just leads to another, in my opinion. So it's all about staying abstinent.
I personally enjoy an occasional frosty beverage. And what does alcohol do? Let's just talk about that. I think it's a social lubricant, and it also lowers inhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are 2 reasons right there. If it lowers your inhibitions, then every point he just made, alcohol makes that point. Am I right?
Right.
Okay.
There's actually a test to take, and this is going to teach you not to count on being strong, but to be smart. And it asks the question, how smart are you being? I'm going to give you a few questions here, or just a few statements here, and you need to rate them 1 through 4. 1 being poor, 2 is fair, 3 is good, and 4 is excellent.
Are you giving this to me since I'm the only one interacting with you?
Well, someone's watching.
Okay.
Yes. So number 1, practice thought stopping. Thought stopping is what you do when you're having thoughts that you're not supposed to be having. People have the different things they can do to stop their train of thought when it's on its on point to be derailed. Some people make phone calls. Some people have a sponsor they can call. Some people maybe a preacher. Some people read. Some people go to work,
So
do things.
if you're
Some people
if you're
pray.
on like a a downward spiral, or you feel like you're headed that way, and your thoughts are going that way, how do you cope? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and on mine I circled fair on that one. That's a 2. And the reason you have these numbers is at the end you add up, and that's your sobriety score. It shows you how good you are. But
Oh.
perfect scores are 44. Right. Number 2, how well are you at scheduling?
Right now, fair, not great.
Okay, so how was your first one? Practice thought
Uh,
stopping. You
mm, I'd give it a fair.
hmm,
You know, I haven't had a situation like that in quite some time.
hmm,
So I know I used to be a lot worse than I am now.
hmm.
I've improved.
Okay, number 3, how well are you at keeping appointments?
Very good.
So we'll give you an excellent there. Number 4, this really wouldn't apply to you because you're not an addict. But how well are you at avoiding triggers that ask?
Uh, very good. Very
I
good.
circled good on that one because I'm still not able to identify all of my triggers. So
I think I'm a good. I'm a good at avoiding triggers.
okay,
Yes.
how well are you at not using alcohol?
Good. Not great. Good.
Okay, how well are you at not using drugs?
Excellent.
How well are you at avoiding people who use drugs and alcohol?
Excellent. Well, I don't know. I have you.
How well are you at avoiding places where you might encounter drugs or alcohol?
Excellent.
Okay, how well are you at exercising?
Poor.
I actually circled poor on that one too. How well are you at being truthful?
Good.
Good. Just good?
Yeah, I'd say good.
Okay.
I occasionally avoid spilling an unnecessary truth that isn't helpful, or a truth that isn't helpful
Right,
to a situation.
right. Got that one. Okay, now this wouldn't apply to you, but it would apply to me. How well are you at going to 12-step or mutual help meetings?
I would say in the past poor.
But we go to church regularly, and that counts as well. So
Then
I
Good.
circled good on that one. And my score ended up being a 33.
How's fun?
Yours is 3, 6, 7. You beat me by 1.
Really?
Yes, yours is a 34.
Then maybe you were overestimating some of your abilities.
No, I'm very good at avoiding drugs, alcohol. This is now. Drugs, alcohol, people that use in the places where it's available. So that was 4 across the board for me.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously, with 44 being the perfect score, that's what you achieve in recovery, is the perfect score. I'm not there yet. And it asks, this is, what can you do to improve your recovery IQ? And I basically told them flat out, exercise is my mortal enemy. Until they take that off the list, I'm never going to achieve a 44. I don't exercise. I don't. Most of my exercise is here, doing what I do here. We do go walking from time to time, but that's it.
We're supposed to walk tonight.
I don't exercise. Yes, we are. And then I do want to work on recognizing more of my triggers, which I am trying to work on that. And I also need to learn to control my thoughts a little better. So there was something that they taught us. It's called urge surfing.
Oh,
Urge
jeez.
surfing is a new thing. It's actually a real thing. I didn't know what the heck it was.
I'm listening.
Urge surfing is what you do is if you feel in your mind you want to drink or you want to go use, how are you going to feel 5 minutes from then? How are you going to feel an hour from then? How are you going to feel 2 hours from
Okay.
then? How are you going to feel 3 hours from then? And it's basically like doing pros and cons, but you do it on make like a sobriety timeline, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm going to try and work on as far as
How are
practicing
you-
thought stopping.
Are you having thoughts using?
Not using. I still have thoughts of
Of what?
there's depression sometimes.
Well, that's, I think, normal.
Yeah, it is, but it's also
We're in the
an
honeymoon.
addictive behavior.
We're in the honeymoon phase.
And sometimes I feel like I'm not getting enough done, low self-worth, also normal, but it's still an addictive behavior. So it's something I'm working on.
So with the addictive behaviors, you're identifying things that make you feel bad, and the substance might make you feel better. Is that the connection there?
Substance doesn't make you feel better, but what it does, it numbs you enough to where you don't think about what's making you feel
Okay.
bad. And that's what we try to get away from. I will read this to him real quick. Staying abstinent has little to do with how strong you are. People who maintain abstinence do it by being smart. They know that the key to not drinking and not using is to keep far away from situations in which they might use. If you are in an environment where drugs might appear, for example at a club or a party, or with friends who are drinking and using, your chances of using are much greater than if you weren't in that situation. Smart people stay abstinent by avoiding triggers in relapse situations. That's what it means by being strong instead of being smart instead of being strong.
Well,
Don't put yourself in that situation where you're going to make yourself be strong. Be smart and stay away from those situations.
can we apply that to us? We don't party. You relapsed at work. So how can you take what you're learning? How do you extrapolate from that, big word, take from that, and how do you think that's going to affect you going forward in a work environment? What are your thoughts? And that's a tough one.
That is a tough one because no matter where you go, as long as I stay at the farm, I'm good. Nobody comes to the farm. We don't have people come visit us. The only person that comes and visits us lives 5 hours away. And
the grandkids.
this is my safe haven here. What I've got to realize is if I go out there and I apply what I know is important to me to my life out there, then I'm going to be good. That's smart. It's if I think about the reaction as opposed to do the action first and then think about the reaction, I'm going to be okay. Urge surfing. I know it's something new. It's something I've got to perfect before,
Yeah, I think we might. Let's readdress this a few months from now, and then when you start work.
Yeah, we will.
And see where we're at. Because right now, this feels good. Where we're at.
Oh, yesterday
feels
was
good.
monumental. Yesterday was monumental with me leaving with the money and coming back with what I went to leave for. That actually felt good. But that's more of a trust building exercise there.
But you got to trust yourself too, and that was you did.
Exactly.
But I don't know where we're going. I guess that's the unknown. I would love for him to be able to go back to work. He feels pretty confident that he's going to go back to work in the spring.
I will.
But if I could prevent what we've been through in the last year by keeping you home, it's something to think about.
It is something to think about, but I'm made to work. I'm blue collar. I've got to get out there. I don't have to get out there now because I got a lot to do here. When it starts warming back up, if it ever gets cold, when it starts to warm back up, I've done all I can do out here. It'll be time to start at least approaching.
I think we'll have to be picky about your work situation.
I know good and well we're going to be picky about it.
Real picky.
Selective even.
And lots of testing. All right. Let's wrap this up.
That's what we learned today, though, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. Maybe it helps, maybe it don't. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
Well, I'd like to spend 2-3 minutes talking about our health.
Okay, I will. Let me say this first. If you feel like it, subscribe to the channel. Maybe leave a comment. If not, that's fine too. If it's just two of us here talking, we're doing this together, and like I said, that's a team building exercise. And every time we do this, we grow a little bit stronger together.
Yeah.
So.
Health-wise, probably in the next 2 weeks, I've got to start changing my habits and getting a lot healthier. Maybe we need to start walking.
I'd say we need to do that.
Maybe we need to start walking in the evenings, a couple days a week.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, we're gonna start biking. If I
we
look for a
may
bike.
start biking. Yeah, we got to do something. We've been in crisis mode probably
Close to a year now.
well, since you've been out, probably a week. Yeah, probably in the last month things are better. When you're in crisis mode, you're in crisis mode, and we were in a long crisis mode. 10 months, 10 months of hell, and we're better, but we've clearly neglected ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to start tackling that, but I'm so busy for the next week and a half, trying to find the time, and so we got to start working on that. Maybe you can encourage me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can I say one more thing real quick?
Yeah.
If there is anybody out there that is struggling with addiction, whether it's a substance, whether it's alcohol, or whether it's gambling, eating,
All the other stuff.
anything that is an addicted and it gets considered an addiction, now's the time to take the step on a road to a different life. I will say this: addiction ends in 3 ways: locked up,
Covered up.
or sobered up.
Yep, I knew that one.
And
I used that back on you several times.
And here's one thing that a lot of people never say about addiction, but it is the truest thing that you can say about addiction. Addiction don't care how it kills you. It just wants to kill you. It is sneaky. It is underhanded. It is very strong. The only way to beat it is to be smart.
Do you
don't have to
remember
be
what I
strong.
said to you when I visited you that day in the jail?
Mm-hmm.
What did I say?
But locked up, covered up, and sobered up.
Besides that, I said you can't serve the kingdom if you're high.
This is true.
That's important to us. So thank you for watching, and I hope we weren't too long and rambling, and I have no idea what we're going to title this, so we're going to go walk.
God bless you.
Take care. Bye.